Brought to you by DK Audio.
DK Audio presents Against the Odds, Hurricane Katrina by DK. Read by Akko Mitchell. Chapter 1. Jake brings his bike to a stop at the end of the bridge to let a car pass him. The cans of food dig into his back. It's uncomfortable. He shifts his backpack a little, hoping for a better angle. They settle a bit, and Jake takes a moment to look at the afternoon sky. Everybody's been talking about a big hurricane headed towards New Orleans. There isn't a sign of it yet, but people can feel it coming. There's a tension in the air, a shivery sense of danger that Jake feels deep in his chest. Jake's granny doesn't worry much about storms, but she always makes sure they're stocked up on food before one arrives. Since she's unable to drive, it falls to Jake to run to the grocery store and carry everything home on his bike. Jake is unbothered by this task since it gives him an excuse to ride around the city. He likes how his bicycle gives him independence. He can go almost anywhere cars can go, and lots of places they can't. More than that, though, riding his bike calms him. The steady, repetitive movement of his legs helps dispel the stress he feels building up in his chest. Now, even with the storm coming, being on his bike gives him a sense of peace and control. Honk. Behind him, a driver lays on their horn before taking a sharp right turn. This storm has everyone on edge. Jake shakes off the sudden interruption and glances at the road ahead of him. It slopes down from the top of the levee wall into the basin of the lower 9th Ward. Almost the entire neighborhood Jake lives in is surrounded by levees. They hold back the high canal waters like large, sturdy walls. The levees are old, but they've held up well for decades. Jake looks at the dark water off to his right. It is undisturbed despite all the reports of the incoming storm. Jake checks to make sure there are no cars before pulling back into the lane and riding his brakes down to the light at the first intersection. Some of the buildings in the lower 9th are closed, with boards nailed over the windows and sandbags piled in front of the doors. His favorite corner store is boarded up like this, in the hope that it will keep the shops safe. The shelves were almost bare before they closed anyway, with people gathering all the food they could to prepare for the storm. Jake had to leave the lower 9th Ward to find a store with enough food still in stock, and even then, there wasn't much food left. As he bikes along, a few restaurants are still open, and the thick, homey smell of cooking seafood and rice wafts into the street. Jake takes a deep, appreciative breath, glad for the hint of normalcy. "Stay safe out there," one shop owner yells at Jake as he passes by. And once again, the normalcy is gone. A couple of turns later, Jake arrives at his house. He jumps the low curb and rides his bike up the narrow concrete path to the porch. He leans the bike up against the exterior of the house and unloads the milk crate that he keeps on the back. Jake piles the grocery bags at the top of the porch steps before undoing his backpack and adding it to the pile. Before he takes all the bags inside, Jake wheels the bike around the back of the house. He grabs a rag from the small shed they have in the yard. It holds tools for gardening and carpentry, but Jake cleaned up enough space to store his bike inside to keep it safe and out of the weather. Jake wipes dirt off the bright red paint of his bike. It's a little chipped in places from use, but still the exact color he wanted when he got it. Once the frame is clean, Jake carefully cleans the gears and shifter, tugging gently on the chain to check if it's loose. It made a rattling noise earlier when he shifted, and he doesn't want to replace it if he doesn't have to, as getting a new chain would be inconvenient. Through the branches of the large fruit trees that shade their small yard, he can see that the sky is darkening, and not just from the fading daylight. The promised storm is finally starting to roll in, and the air has grown hot and muggy. The leaves are waving in a slight breeze. Jake looks uneasily at the sky. Usually he can handle storms. This time, though, everybody feels jumpy, including Jake. Jake bolts the shed closed and hurries back around to the front of the house. Just as he's gathering up the bags of food, he hears tires crunching on gravel. "Jake!" someone calls from behind him. He turns to see that their neighbors, the Petersons, have stopped their car right in front of the house. Mrs. Peterson has rolled down the passenger window. Jake crosses to the end of the concrete walkway so he can talk to them more easily. "Y'all heading out?" Mrs. Peterson asks. "Heard this storm is supposed to be a big one." Jake shakes his head. "No, ma'am. Granny says we're staying right here." Mrs. Peterson has a look of unease. "You sure? Are you both going to be okay?" "Yes, ma'am," Jake says. He gestures back at the bags on the porch, still waiting to be taken into the house. "I've got us enough food to last, and we have someone coming by to drop off the water, too. We've got everything we need." Through the back windows, Jake can see that their car has been stuffed full to bursting. Boxes and duffels are piled atop one another and pressing against the car windows. "Well, okay then, as long as you're both sure. You and your granny be safe now," Mrs. Peterson says, even though she still looks concerned. Mrs. Peterson has always been an incredibly considerate neighbor. "Thanks. You too." Mr. Peterson waves at Jake and pulls away, and the car quickly disappears around the corner and out of view. Chapter 2. "Granny?" Jake calls as he comes in through the door, bags of food hanging from his hands. "I'm back. I've got the groceries." Granny looks over her shoulder at him from where she's sitting on the couch, knitting and watching the news. She's frowning intently, but smiles when she sees Jake. "Hey, Jake. Thanks for running to the store." He quickly carries the bags into the kitchen and unpacks the cans, sliding them into the lower cupboards by the fridge. Once he's done, he goes back to the living room. Jake leans over the back of the couch and drops a kiss on the top of Granny's head. "Hello, Granny. Anything interesting happen while I was gone?" "It's all the same. Has been all day." Jake glances at the TV screen as he settles down next to Granny. The only thing on the news is Hurricane Katrina. The weather forecasters keep predicting that it's going to be a disaster. It's been that way for several days, but now that the storm is imminent, it seems it's all that's being talked about. The announcer says that all highways are being used to exit the city. The video shows the freeway, with all lanes on both sides packed wall to wall, with cars departing from the city. They're barely moving. Jake wonders if the Petersons are stuck in that traffic, but the video cuts away too quickly for him to find their car. The mayor appears on the screen, saying that
sample complete. Ready to continue?